So you have just finished voting.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the process?
Well, I think the process can be ran a lot smoother than it actually has been. It's basically surprising that we only have one location that's open up for early voting. Early voting just started today, October 12th. And here in Columbus, Georgia, we only have one location open for early voting. And I've been here since 6:30 this morning. Here it is 11:15, and I just finally got a chance to cast my ballot. I'm not complaining about waiting in line. I'm just basically complaining about or stating the fact that we should have at least more than one location open for early voting.
Now, I heard you speaking earlier today about handicapped personnel.
Yes, sir.
What was the policy how it was explained to you?
Well, basically, I guess it's two different rules. Someone doesn't actually know what the policy is, I'm assuming, because basically on the door, they have a sign posted that say individuals of the age of 75, disabled or handicapped, are able to come ahead of individuals that have actually been in line from the hours of 9:30 until 4:30. And I called the electoral office, and they basically stated that the age was 65. So I don't know whether it's 65 or even 75 as far as the age limit itself, but I don't know who actually sets that age requirement. And I was told when I called to the office, probably you have to talk to the Secretary of State in order to find out why is the age actually 75 or 65. Okay, just so.
Should there be an age?
I don't think there should be any age, as far as individual. If the individual is old enough to vote, and if he or she is disabled, then they should be afforded the opportunity to go ahead and vote early.
Why is this election so important to you?
Well, it's not only this election that's important. Every election is important, especially at the local elections. There's a lot of change need to go on, a lot of things that are coming about, and just by being able to vote now, because if you're tired of things that are going the way they've been going, it is important for you to vote. And I'm not only casting my vote for myself, I'm casting my vote for my two grandchildren that I have. But they're not old enough to vote. You know, I have a 1-year-old, he's not old enough to vote. Then I have a 10-year-old grandson, they're not old enough to vote. So I want to vote for them, okay? And I'm not only voting for them, I'm voting for my ancestors that fought, so I can have the right to vote as well, okay?
So you're trying to leave this legacy behind for your grandchildren to know how their grandfather, how active their grandfather was during this political process.
Yes, sir.
So how do you assess this presidential election?
Well, I think when we talk about the president's election, when we select an individual to become president, we need to make sure this individual, he or she, is actually representing both parties, not just one party, but he needs to represent all people, both parties. Okay, so that's something.
Do you feel that this is what we have received over the past 3 years?
Say again?
Do you feel this is what we have received over the past 3 years?
As far as one person representing both parties?
Right.
No, I don't think we've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case. Okay? It's not the case. If it were the case, then you wouldn't see such an uprising that we've had in the last couple of months. Okay? Because people are basically they're sick and tired of being treated the way they've been treated, and no one's standing for them. And this is the problem that we have when we talk about the process itself. We elect these elected officials to make decisions for us, to run offices, but then we need to be able to somehow hold them accountable for their actions once we get them into office. And definitely at the local, we talk about the local area, okay, a local election, okay, because a lot of times you see a lot of local politicians, not mentioning names, local politicians, they only show up when it's election time. Okay, they show up, they visit your churches when it's time to vote. Okay, close election time, that's when we want to come up. Okay, then once they get into office, you don't see them anymore. Okay, and when individuals do things like that, I'm talking to the individuals that they are voted in to represent, we need to hold them accountable for it. Okay, we need to have a report card on elected officials. If that elected official is not doing what we expect them to do, if they're not working in our best interest, we need to do what we need to do to get them out of office. It's just that simple, okay? So,
do you mean this literally, that we should have some type of report card, some type of...
Yeah, why not? We have report card for everything else, right? You have ways of evaluating people's performance. Why shouldn't their performance be evaluated? It's just that simple, okay? Hey, if that politician or he or she, if I call my city official, my city councilman, and I have a concern or issue, then if they don't address my concern and my issue, then they should be failing on their report. It's just that simple. Because they work in support of me. It's just that simple. They're working for us. Okay? They need to be held accountable for it. When I was in the military, I was held accountable for my action. As president of the NAACP, whatever goes right or whatever goes wrong, I'm held accountable for that. Okay? Just that simple. I just can't take all the accolades and say, okay, we've done good or we did well, and just accept those things. Anything that goes wrong, I'm responsible for as well.
So as the president of the NAACP here in Columbus, Georgia, what is your message to voters?
Well, one is you can see if you haven't had an opportunity to see, I think some of the messages are getting around because I came here at 6 o'clock this morning. Matter of fact, I thought I was early. When I came at 6 o'clock, believe it or not, I was almost at the back end of the garage and waiting in line to vote. Okay, and it started at 7. That's when the polls opened up. That's how far back I was. So obviously the word is getting out about how important it is for individuals to actually get out and vote. So that's good. But now the thing is, being registered to vote is one thing. Voting is another. Then once we do those two things, then we need to make sure we hold individuals accountable once we put them in office. It's just that simple. Okay?
Is Columbus recognized on a national level? You know, in my opinion, Columbus is always confused with being Columbus, Ohio. How do you see Columbus?
Well, I'm not originally from Columbus. I won't even say Columbus itself. I would say Georgia itself is behind. Not just Columbus. Georgia itself is behind. It's just that simple because think about it. It took years for Georgia to even actually get its hate crime bill. One of the last. Why? That makes no sense. Okay. But as long as the citizens that you have in Columbus, the citizens that you have that live in Georgia, as long as they sit back and they don't do anything, they don't voice their opinion, they're going to continue to get the same thing. It's just that simple. You know, you have no right to complain if you don't get out and do something about it. You know, I'm going to go ahead and steal this from an individual. He always says, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Those individuals that complain about things that are not going the way they think they need to be going, they need to go out and do something about it. Join these local organizations to do something about it. And when you talk about joining these local organizations, now by all means, if the NAACP is not doing what you think they're supposed to be doing according to their bylaws or according to their vision or according to the mission of them, you need to hold us accountable for it. Just that simple. If the Urban League or whatever organization that's out there is not doing what those organizations are supposed to be doing based on their organization's charter, the organization's mission, or the organization's vision statement, hold them accountable for that. And then in order to hold them accountable for that, join those organizations. It's just that simple. Okay? Don't sit back and say, well, they should be doing this, they should be doing that. Join those organizations, okay? If you're not a part of, you don't complain about it. You're just part of the solution, okay? Being a part of the problem, the correct problem. Just as simple.
Okay, Mr. Tanner, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir, I appreciate you.
And I also appreciate your leadership.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.